So we made it to Long Grove, Iowa, and we're staying on a farm and gonna be working this week on this Eagle 01. I think he said it was a 68. It's real nice inside. It's all nice all around. Gonna work on Jake brakes, doing a tune-up. It's got an exhaust leak. Unfortunately, exhaust leak is on the hard to get to side. My bus, I just posted a little while ago on the community tab that everything was going great. Wonderful. We pulled off the interstate at a rest area about 15 miles from his place here to give him some time to get home. And then when I posted that, everything was great. And then I went to leave, pull out of there, and I stepped on it and it just fell on its face. I was like, oh, something's not right. So luckily I was in the rest area, so I just stopped right away. Went back, my fuel filter had lost prime. So I'd done 300 miles with no issue whatsoever, but when I pulled off, I was right at the rest area and the engine was like 190 when I pulled off, so I let it idle for maybe 2 minutes to cool down, just to, you don't want to just shut it off when you're going hot like that. It'll build up some heat while it sits there. So just let it cool down a little bit for just a few minutes, maybe two minutes, 3 minutes, and then I shut it off. When I shut off, it seemed fine. Didn't think nothing about it. Then when I went to pull out, it had no power, fell on its face. Went back there, checked the filter, it lost prime. I turned on my fuel priming pump and it instantly primed it back up, started, and I drove here, no issues. When I got here, it was completely primed. But if I turn the fuel pump on, I do get a leak from the bottom of it. It sat there forever, not a single drip was on the ground whatsoever. Nothing, but I can pressurize it with that pump, and when I put pressure behind it, it gets a little bit of a leak. So I need to see about getting a new O-ring for the bottom of it and then go from there. Rear tires performed wonderfully. I'm going to go inside the bus in a minute and I'll record a video and tell you all about the performance, how everything was, because it was a rocket ship today. It's lots of improvements have been done to the bus lately, and I really got to feel the benefit of all of them today. So, but it's a little warm out here, so I'm going to go in the bus and I'll give you guys another video tonight. Well, I've been here about an hour and I put two little drips on the ground there, and then a couple drips over there. That larger circle is some fuel that I took out of that fuel filter when I pressurized it. But for 300 miles and then parking somewhere for an hour, that's a pretty good deal. So my leaks are pretty well stopped up. Okay, so let's talk about performance. I've done a lot of work to the bus lately, and pretty much everything that I've done is increased performance on the bus. So the first thing, we rebuilt the engine. Obviously that's going to give it more power. And then we sent that 2-valve head in that had leaks on every single valve on it. So we sent that into the machine shop, got that fixed. That was another reason to increase performance. So, and then I had a couple weeks, almost 3 weeks, to drive the bus with the 2-valve head after the engine was rebuilt, and could really take advantage of, feel the power difference, and acceleration was much better, and that kind of it was much better. And then this week we put the 4-valve head on, and that improved performance too. The delay in the timing on it, the exhaust valves are staying closed longer, opening later, and then closing earlier as well. So the timing, so it's taking a little bit more advantage of that power, which is why you get a little bit of torque boost on that. And when I get the turbo on there, I'm really going to have power. Oh, and I upgraded the fuel injectors too, went up a size to N70s from N65, so get a little bit more fuel in there. And I'm not rolling coal or anything like that, so it's not you can't give it full throttle instantly. You got to give it a second for the blower to provide enough air for it, so you have a good air to fuel mixture there. But then the 4-valve head that we've got, tons of power, and then I just added the new tires, went up to the 12R 22.5s from the 11R 22.5s, and I've gained 3 miles per hour on the highway at highway speed with the new tires. Acceleration is still crazy. So I only had the acceleration from my house over to the tire shop without the new tires on there. I was a little concerned, because a taller tire, it's going to be harder for the engine to turn it faster. Same thing when I had my fishbowl bus. I changed the rear end and went to a 4.125 rear end in it, and everybody cautioned me. They're like, oh, it's going to be terrible off the line, it's going to be really slow. But I really did not notice any difference whatsoever. All it did for me is going to be higher top end speed. That was the only difference that I noticed. Climbing hills on the way here, there's a few decent hills, especially coming up like the Mississippi River and stuff like that to get here to Iowa. And it performed better than it ever has on any of those hills with the old tires, with the old engine, the old head. I just had so much power today. I have never passed so many vehicles in my life. I've never passed so many vehicles uphill before. I kept passing trucks left and right going up the hills, and I've never had that happen before. Very rarely. So, which, the extra 3 miles an hour makes a difference, especially when a lot of those trucks are governed at like 65, 67, something like that, which is about what we used to run. But we were cruising most of the day at 70, 71 mile an hour. And like I said, the bus did great. Had that one little issue with the new fuel filter that I added to it. If I pressurize it, it does leak. It can just sit there and run, nothing leaks, not a drop comes out of it, nothing. But if I pressurize it, it does. So I didn't run it a lot at idle. So I just need to get a new O-ring for it, and I should be fine. It's the bottom the bottom O-ring on the bottom. It's different than the one that was in there. The one that came with the filter set is different than the one that was in there. It's skinnier, and it's not making a good tight connection. The old one that I have in there has grown, and it's expanded too much. I can't put the old one back in it. So I just need to get a new O-ring for it, and that should have that problem solved. But, minimal oil leaks whatsoever, a couple drips. The dipstick looks exactly where it was when I left. The back of the bus would be covered in oil if it was leaking, or after I pulled in here, it would have been dripping, drips to the ground, and it didn't do that. So everything that we've done has really paid off, the money and the time that we invested in the engine. Obviously, when I go to a turbo, that's going to be a whole nother fun for me. Oh, the propane too. The propane today has performed better than it ever has before. So the propane with the 4-valve head must be some kind of an advantage to it. Maybe if it's on the torque end of it or whatever it's doing. I always figured that I get about a 10 to 15 horsepower gain when I have the propane injection on. It's colder air going in the intake, so you get the cooling benefit. It's enhancing the burn because the propane is already mixed everywhere in the chamber with the oxygen when it compresses, and then when the diesel fuel ignites, it's a more complete burn than it ever had without the propane. And I think the 4-valve head is just taking more advantage of that. So I could really feel the difference. I know the bus real well. I know what it does on hills, what it should feel like when I accelerate. And I've probably gained maybe 10 seconds on my 0 to 60 time from what I had before, which isn't all that impressive, but that's a big gain for me, especially when merging on the highway and stuff like that too. So overall, I'm extremely satisfied with everything that we've done. Nothing has hurt the performance. The bigger tires are better. They got me going faster. Now I could go the same speed I used to be going before and probably take advantage of the tires and get better fuel economy. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, kind of thing. And I think I would rather go a little bit faster as opposed to saving the money on the fuel. But I could, if I decided to do that, I could turn the governor back down just a little bit, go a little slower. I can't do it myself. I can't regulate it with my foot on the pedal. I just don't have it in my soul to do that. I just got to go fast. But if I turn the governor down, whereas as fast as the bus would go, then I would be able to do that. But if it's up to my self-control while driving, I can't do it. Maybe if my top end speed was like 80 miles an hour, well then I could probably regulate that myself. But between going 67 and 70 miles an hour, the 70 is just much more fun to travel at that speed, especially passing people. I don't want to get stuck behind a semi and that kind of thing. So anyways, the performance has been great. Everything's been wonderful. The engine's running sweet, super smooth. Just that one little hiccup with that new fuel filter that's on there, but I'll get that taken care of here. And I'm going to be here for 2 or 3 days working on this Eagle, so I'll have plenty of time to get the part ordered that I need for that. and go from there. So thanks for watching, and stick around for tomorrow. We'll have lots of videos. The Jake brake troubleshoot will probably be something that somebody's interested in here. If you have Jake brakes and you have problems with it, we'll go through the procedure to figure out what's going on. If it's just something electrical, there's a few different things that it can be with that. If it's not electrical, is it mechanical? It could just be the settings. There's all kinds of things. So anyways, we'll see you tomorrow when I work on the Eagle Bus.